All right. Our next speaker. Now, I have to make a confession. He was selected 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago, 2020. And then this little thing happened. And it was long before, Virtual Academy became our sponsor. But this evening, our next speaker is Michael Warren, who is with Virtual Academy. Come on up, brother.
Alrighty, folks, what has become clear to me since we last met? And I guess the thing that has become most clear to me is that we need training programs that are safe. And a lot of you out there right now are saying, Mike, that's really the best you can come up with? I mean, seriously, we make our programs safe. We have safety officers. We do safety checks. I mean, goodness gracious, Harvey talked about it this morning in opening ceremonies. And that's not the kind of safety I'm talking about. Now, we do need to be more intentional about it because, unfortunately, it seems every single year we're losing people in this profession during training accidents that should never occur. But what I want to talk to you about is a different kind of safety. And the first thing I want to tell you is that we need to be nurturing training programs where it is safe for our people to fail. And I would be willing, as I look around the room, that most of you have heard and have probably even said to our people, hey, if you're going to fail, I want you to fail where? In training. Yet when our people fail in training, how do we treat them? Oftentimes we respond with ridicule. We make fun of them. We get angry with them. The truth is we don't want our people to fail. But that's an unrealistic expectation. And folks, listen. If you get nothing else out of tonight, the unrealistic expectations that we have of our people internally are much more dangerous and do much more damage than those external expectations of perfection. And honestly, the only people I can think of in this world that can understand the unrealistic expectations that you people are put under are referees in collegiate and professional athletics. I mean, they miss a call and people lose it. And goodness gracious, there's people out there running around everywhere. Here's the thing, folks. As trainers, you need to understand that when you have unrealistic expectations of your people, they stop trying. That is the way that we are wired as human beings, folks, and we cannot let our people stop trying. This job is dangerous enough than people that just stop trying to get better. But here's the other part of that. While they should be safe to fail, they cannot be allowed to be safe from learning from their failures. You have to learn when we don't do things well, when we do things incorrectly. And too often in this profession, we hide behind this thing. Well, you know what? I'm not going to Monday morning quarterback anybody. I'm not going to second guess my brothers and sisters. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about doing so that we can run these people down, folks. But we have got to be better about cleaning up the mistakes that we make. Why do we need to keep learning the same lesson over and over? We have to force people. We have to hold them accountable for learning from their mistakes. And you know what? It drives me nuts, folks, because we have become a profession where we think that the best way for people to learn is the hard way. For the love of everything that is good and right, if you know something is going to be harmful to one of your people, why do they need to learn it the hard way? We need to be better. We need safe training environments where people can fail. The second thing, where people need to feel safe in our training environments, is that both students and trainers alike need to feel safe in expressing themselves. Now, I'm not talking about some of the expression that people do in society nowadays. That's not what I'm talking about. But it doesn't matter if it's a brand new recruit or if it's a 25-year vet. If they think that they have a better way of doing something, they should feel safe in expressing it to you, even if you're the subject matter expert. But too often in our profession, if you're not an SME in this particular discipline right here, I don't want to hear anything from you. It's an interesting thing, at least for a dork like me, and I'm a dork, folks. There was a study that was done on banks during the 2007-2008 economic downturn, and they did a study of banks that failed and those that survived. And what the study found is that if a bank had a board of directors that was primarily composed of people from the banking industry, that bank was likely to fail. And you would think that those would be the banks that would survive. But the ones that survived at a much higher rate were the ones that had boards of directors that had a diversity of experience and perspective on the board of directors. Not all of them were bankers. But you would think it would be exactly the opposite. Diversity in that sense, folks, makes us stronger. It makes us better. We have to be willing to let people speak, even if we're the one in the front of the room speaking. But here's the other thing, though, folks. The flip side of that is that you're free to express your opinion, but you are not free from being asked to defend it. Because if you don't defend it, if there's nothing behind it to make it credible and defensible, all you're talking about is your personal opinion. And personal opinions don't stand up in court. They're not going to stand up on the street. You have to be, and you know, that's the nice thing about coming to ILEETA and meeting up with people. I explain to people, when you come to this conference, it's like going to a family reunion. You know, and when I'm talking about the family reunion, I'm talking about the side of the family that likes the police, right? Not the side of the family that deals with the police. But when you come here and you see people like Brian Willis and Joe Willis and Dwayne Wolf, and then you see people like Brian Hill, and you see people like KD, and you see those people right there, what they provide you is stuff that you can take to the bank because they can show you the stuff to back it up. So when someone is free to express in your training programs, that's good. But you got to back it up. And that only comes through research. That only comes from studying. As they talked about this morning in the opening ceremonies, being lifelong learners. And I love that idea, the International Law Enforcement Student Association. Because that shows that we're continually trying to improve. So you have to be free to express yourself. You have to be safe to do it. But you have to be held to the standard of being able to justify it. And then the final thing, folks, the final thing is our people should be in training programs where they're safe in their knowledge that what they're going to learn is making them safer. What we present has to make our people safer. And unfortunately, what we tend to teach is what we taught last year and what we taught the year before that. And it's had zero impact on the way that they go about doing their business. Folks, listen, it's a dangerous world out there. It has gotten much more dangerous. What you do, and I love this, and this is for a couple people in the room that I work with quite a bit on the Left of Greg podcast, right? My favorite podcast at the moment that Brian Willis turned me on to, they have an episode where they say, you know what, folks? When we're in our training programs, we need to put the meat on the training bones. Because in way too many of our training programs, you get this very meager thing that has zero nutritional value. Zero. Man, what you do matters. And if it doesn't matter, you're not doing it right. You have got to do better by your people. They deserve it. But here's the other part, folks. While we should be providing training that makes them safer, we also need to remind them that training is an agency responsibility, but learning is an individual responsibility. It doesn't matter how good your material is, folks. If they're not putting in the effort, it's not going to do any good. You have to hold them accountable for what you're doing. And it's already been talked about tonight. Too often in our training programs, we are letting people get by haphazardly. We're not holding the standards that have been established. And instead, we're lowering the standards. And not only are we not making our people better, we're making them worse because we're letting them get by when they shouldn't be get by. And folks, in closing, the best thing about the good trainers is that good trainers are fantastic leaders, because leadership is what is needed in our training programs. Leadership is what makes our training programs safe. And that starts here, where we're learning from other trainers the way that we do. Thank you, folks, for allowing me to be here.
Hey, obviously, I have a follow-up question. So, what Michael did for us tonight, so many of us hear that term psychological safety, and it's a triggering word for us, right? But you put a bow on it, and you said it's much more than that, and we have the ability to provide that. I'd like for everybody to do that same thing, and I didn't do it for Tracy. Make that note. What are you taking away? That's what I took away from you. Now, Mikey and I, we share a love of being nerds, right? We do. And we're in a reading group together, and he actually challenged me with a book recently that took me out of my comfort zone. And I really appreciate you for that. What I'd like for you to do right now is, same question I had for Todd. What are you consuming? I know Left of Greg, you recommended that one to everybody tonight, but it is I checked it out, it's worth it. Not just that one. What are you consuming? What's challenging you, and what feeds you?
Folks, I'm a flawed human being, and the thing that I've really tried to work on this past year is being intentional about looking at perspectives that are different than mine. Intentionally seeking out sources that, you know what I'm saying, that's a bunch of crap right there, and I think I know it's crap, but I'm not sure. And what I've found, folks, is that what I thought I knew wasn't so. Some of it was crap. But a lot of it wasn't. So I've been intentional about seeking things beyond what I'm comfortable with.